That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all got our things.
We've all got our quirks. We are, that's what we celebrate on this show.
Yeah, there we go.
Rhyme or free, it doesn't matter to me. It's my bad poetry. Good day, and welcome to My Bad Poetry, a podcast where we take a deep dive into our poems from youth, yesteryear, or even yesterday. Always asking the question, why in the world did I write this? I'm Aaron.
And I'm Dave.
And today we have with us a writer once compared to Whitman for the multitudes that they contain. A fan of classic rock, a multilinguist, and acrostic crafter, Laurence Foshee. Welcome to the show. Dear listeners, Foshee is waving at us.
Yeah. Sorry.
Audio medium, man.
Takes some getting used to. Is there anything in the intro that I might have missed or anything you want?
Well, that's good. I mean, yeah, I think you got it.
Awesome. Well, before we officially started, we were talking about your work, Trionfini, and I'm sure we will talk more about that.
Okay, girl.
But to bring us into the realm of poetry, Dave, why don't you hit us with what you've written for this week?
Okay. This is a return to form. This is a haiku.
Ooh.
Awful or awesome. Terrific or terrible. Etymology. Woo!
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now, is it, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it, you're doing a play on that's not a haiku?
That is a haiku.
No, that is a haiku? Oh, I wasn't counting.
Yeah, American haiku, the 575. But like in...
Right.
But like, yeah, I don't that's... But like in Japanese, the syllables are different. And so like when it renders in... I'm sure you know all this, but when it renders into English, it's usually less syllables. But yeah.
Yeah.
Dave would know. I would not. But
I did Japanese in college a long time ago. I did 3 years of it. That was my language in college. To biochemical engineering, and now I write poetry. I don't think that's
yeah. You're our kind of nerd. This works well.
Yeah, okay. This works very well. So, Dave, walk me through this, because I was not tracking it. I was trying to count the syllables, and I got lost in your pacing there. So
good effort.
What are you doing here?
So I was goofing around with some words this week, and I always get stuck on the awful and awesome. How they are both that awe, and they just kind of differentiated in English, and the same thing with terrific and terrible.
So pointing out how the root words are the same, but the meanings are entirely opposite.
Fundamentally opposite, yeah.
Fascinating.
I'm a genius. I'm the greatest poet of our generation. Okay. I get it.
Okay, well, again...
Or I'm a moron. That's probably the more accurate one.
It kind of resonates with your haiku there.
Yeah.
Both and maybe somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, Laurence, you have brought for us today some of your early rough drafts of later poems. And so how about you share with us this first one, a hillbilly's Desiderium. This is one thing I'll say about your book. I had to look up so many words.
Yeah, I get told that.
Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
I mean, I need to work on that. I get told that a lot. I would get told that by PhD English people. That's a weird feeling. I don't know how to process that. But
so share with us this rough draft that you've given us.
Okay, sorry about this, but this was originally like a defunct thing that was like 3 blank verse sonnets. Like I took to hacking at, but I wrote it when I was 25, and it had a different title. It had some kind of generic title like Colombian Travel Sonnets or something like that.
Okay.
What part should I pick? It was 3 parts, and then the third part was like leaving the little like love and time of cholera type touristy steamboat to go to a town. But I got rid of that because I didn't like the ending. So I think it ends. I think it ends better now. So I don't.
Well, hit us with this draft, and we'll get into it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. A Hillbilly's Desiderium in Colombia was a midway port of a life at 35, going it alone aboard a tourist steamboat, Florentino, churning north on La Magdalena, with itinerant Spanish feathering the ears. Las ollas de Santa Fe, putal, mami un patico, constellated voices rattling me, extraterrestrial in a whirlwind of bright cities' docks bobbing past and slow. La Dorada, Barranca Bermeja, Agua Chica, vowels wandering like the unanswered days, were their lilt through time, were the questions open ended. If life at 17, at 70, would about face and wonder if each interval must circle some stunning woman or toss leaflets to the river, gulped by gliding red-footed tortoises, praises for whom one shouldn't polish, not to the painted connoisseurs high in the verdure, in restless oil slick wing beats breaking the dusk light, nor among undiscerning ears like warm rays faded to bend about her gravity, as if their only little miracle was to be lonesome whispers dwindling to a silence, or to shadow a river trip, a murky current of me's.
Okay.
It's a little dense. I can see that. Yeah.
a little dense. Yeah.
I was 25 writing this, and like I was like, I never even been to Colombia. That's the weird thing. I was researching like Colombian Spanish and like the regions of Colombian Spanish and like the flora and fauna and like the cities along the La Magdalena. And I heard that because I wrote this in 2016, it's like projecting it 10 years into the future. But because I'm, it's like snotty autobiography and poetry. But yeah, I read this article about like Gabriel Garcia Marquez's Love in Time of Cholera, that steamboat in there, the New Fidelity or whatever, that they start. It got so popular, the book, that they were revamping the steamboat like thing for tourists. So that's where I was coming from in that context. But yeah. And this is actually kind of a formative poem, not in itself, but like for my later work, because like that opening line is like a riff on Dante a little bit, like "No mezzo declamini nostra vita."
Oh,
like,
yeah.
In the middle of our line. But yeah, because like I've been working on this sonnet novel for like too long, 7-8 years. It's half done. I mean, that's not a but anyway, there's like three characters that are 17, 35, and 70, and there's like an algebraic thing about that, and like the midpoint mathematically is like 35 roughly. So I was just fiddling with that because it takes place when I was 17, and it's sort of like a really bad case of the prequelitis, I guess. I don't know what you call it. Yeah, but I'm having fun with it. It's a really quirky little sonnet novel or novel in verse. I'm really pushing the boundaries of calling it a sonnet. I mean, some of them are just so. I mean, but that's pretty common in 21st century sonneteering, so that's not really. But I'm having fun with it though.
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool. So all those elements are right here. The intro, like you said, and then the 35, the 17, the 70. Is your sonnet novel set? Does it have a Colombian episode within it, or is that vaguely jettisoned? Okay.
No, I reworked. So, God, this is gonna sound so weird. I set it. I set the main sequence in Brazil, and it's a riff off the poet Elizabeth Bishop's time in Brazil. And for that, I self-taught a lot of Brazilian Portuguese. But I understand that's very unusual. But and then
no, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it though. It's all good. I mean, I love Brazilian literature. It's a little niche, but yeah, and that was a pretty formative influence. It was Elizabeth Bishop's biography, especially. But I mean, her poetry is amazing too. I don't mean to downplay that, but yeah, the sonnet novel. I envisioned it when I was 25, being like an over ambitious young poet. But it has three sequences that are modeled like kind of pastiche certain eras of poetry.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's like a mathematical reason for that. It's not necessarily arbitrary. I mean, I guess everything's, but no, like
Yeah.
the opening, the proem is a riff on Derek Walcott's Omeros, and then the main sequence is a riff on like the end of Dante, the Paradiso, and then the coda, I guess you'd call it the coda, is a riff on Virgil. And I picked those three because of like the mathematical distance between them in time, but that choice relays to the three characters who are 17, 35, and 70. It's like it's very. When I was a little too young, I was hugely influenced by the Lamati and Gilbert schemata of Ulysses. Like David Joyce's Ulysses. Yeah, and that really wild like structuring of a novel. I wanted to try that with poetry, and I'm still doing it. It's fun, but it's a slow process, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I feel like with that much experimentation, where you're doing kind of the mathematical side of it and the riffing on ancient poets and more modern poetry as well. It's just like so many layers of interpretation and so many layers of experimentation. I can believe it would take you quite a while to get through.
Yeah, it's I'm projecting it. I'm pretty set on 140 sonnets, which corresponds to like a Iron Man triathlon. It's something to do with the novel itself as well. But and it's about half done. I've got about 70 or so, but that's like, gosh, it's like since 2016. It's been like 7 years of writing and rewriting and tweaking. No. So yeah, it's a slow process. I'm fine with that. I mean, I was hoping to use it towards an MFA, but man, I'm really having a hard time paying for school out of pocket. It's been kind of a struggle. But
I get that.
Yeah.
So this poem that you sorry,
we really gotten off the track.
No, we have followed the murky currents, and I love it. So my first question was going to be, have you ever been to Colombia?
Nope, never been to Colombia, never been to Brazil. Never been to Colombia or Brazil. I'm too poor. I don't know.
And I think it's funny that this you started playing with this imagery around 2016, because I was gonna say, being a dad of a 4-year-old, the only thing I can think of now is Encanto. So you were ahead of your time. You got the Colombia.
Oh yeah. I've been meaning to see that.
It's not bad. Not bad for Disney. But so you're playing with a lot of different words here. Are all these words Spanish?
Which one? The ones that are not in English? Yeah, they're all Spanish.
Okay. No. Because you mentioned the Portuguese as well. I wasn't sure.
No, that's not in this. It's not in this.
That's not in this.
No, yeah. I seem to have, I mean, I don't want a hat on a hat. I seem to have a really uncanny ability to learn languages, because I picked up a lot of Spanish in Tulsa just working at jobs. I mean, I can pretty much have a conversation. I mean, I never really studied it in school all that much. My main languages were French and Japanese in school, in high school and college. I don't know. It's just some people, they just pick it up quicker.
It's a skill you have. Yeah. It's something I do not have. So I'm extremely jealous. But you can sense that in your work. I mean,
it's a debut book.
You don't have to couch it in that. It's a good book, but you play a lot with words. You just love to switch languages mid rhyme.
Some of that, some of that stuff in there. We gotta stay on track. But in that Tree on Feeney book, it's like it's a really convoluted, like multi-layered acrostic as well. Like the actual book, like it's got the 4 sections, and I choose the 4 languages, like title themes is like a acrostic, multilingual acrostic. I don't know. It's a little over the top, maybe that conceit, but there's some good stuff in there. That's what I like about it. It's good first effort.
Does it come with a reading companion?
Oh,
like
gosh.
another book that you can have side by side, so you can go,
gosh.
okay, I don't understand enough French to get this. So
Yeah, I gotta taper back some. This second book, it's only poems. It's 25 poems, but it's a little. I mean, this is one of those poems. There's like some inaccessible bits, but there's some pretty approachable poems too. I'm trying to find that balance. I'm not necessarily setting out to be so rarefied or like greater than thou nonsense. I don't know. It's just the way I write. But I'm still working on it.
You're having fun, and
right.
I love that it's like this creation is coming out of experimentation.
Yeah.
Playing with numbers, playing with words, playing with acrostic, playing with sonnet. That's fun. So about this rough draft that you've shared with us, what is it that you find, like, I mean, the title of our show is My Bad Poetry. So I'm gonna push you there. What is it about this draft that you found not repulsive, but something that you were like, and then later drafts have revised out or away from?
Yeah, I almost kind of want to expand on moments, but it's hard to find that balance, And then maybe that Spanish is a little too rarefied. I'm not sure because I don't know enough about exactly Colombian Spanish. I looked up a few like slang terms and some regional terms. Like there's like Bogota has a region called Santa Fe. I mean, or is that how you say it? Bogota? Yeah, I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. I need to kind of work on my lightness of touch. Like I get a little too like trying to get in. Maybe, I hope it's not showboating, but it does feel a little like showboating, I think. Yeah.
Well, but I feel like that really works with kind of the way that this is flowing, like not understanding where you're going.
Yeah.
And you're kind of just floating down that river, kind of things passing over, kind of like waves washing against a shore.
Yeah, that murky current of me's bit, that I kind of liked where I like when I reworked it and cut to that, because like I want to give the sense of like, people always change or the individual always changes. And even in that moment that person's having like it's not really me. I'm projecting a character and trying to go first person, but that person is having a, kind of a existential crisis, I suppose, where they just feel like every moment is just kind of about the wrong stuff, I suppose. To get a little more autobiographical, I had a really tricky issues with unrequited issues in my 20s. I mean, I'm 32. I worked in crisis healthcare. Stuff's changed, but man, for like too long, I was hung up on a couple of women. It was kind of bad. But yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Like, this is when I wrote this when I was 25. I was very much in this weird headspace of like, love grief and trying to shake it off, and somehow like a torpor of like just ruminations and stuff. So I like that as a starting point, but I kind of want to use this poem a little bit to jump off into more broad themes where people could have similar things, but not about something so lovelorn, I suppose, or cliche.
Yeah.
You got to write what people know, and no one has ever had issues in love. It's just so unrealistic.
Right. Yeah. That's fair. Okay.
Yeah, what we've discovered on this show, and I think I even mentioned this with our last guest, but I think the majority of bad poems that have been shared with us have come from that kind of angsty, lovelorn experience that we go through. And I think as like a 20-something, I mean, in your context in Oklahoma, I imagine the toxic masculinity within that scope.
Yeah.
But you talked about that torpor that you, and I love this image. And I hope it remained in the later draft. This rattling me extraterrestrial in a whirlwind of bright. I love that image. That is a cool image.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still I'm getting better at line breaks. I feel like I used to be really clunk at them. Yeah.
I noticed something as I'm looking at this, and I think I didn't notice it as much when I was reading Trion Fini because it bounces between prose and poems. But within your prose, you capitalize as like more when you normally would, like at sentence and that kind of stuff. Poetry here, and I looked back as you and Dave were chatting about something, I don't know, but you don't capitalize as much. Is that a direct influence from someone, or
I think that's this is a little embarrassing, but I spent too much time in STEM. Like I was a biochemical engineering major. I took all this biology differential equations. I didn't take enough of the liberal arts at an age where that would have been helpful to, being a very clear eye on like line edits and stuff. But I for this sophomore effort, I have an MFA grad friend who's gonna help me line edit it a little bit, make sure I'm not making any goofs I don't catch. But I am taking more English classes now as a return student. I mean, it's not all for naught, but
sure,
right?
Yeah, I was trying to give it more of like a, I don't want to say run on, that stream of consciousness adjacent type writing, honestly.
No, it reminded me of Heart of Darkness. That's a stream of consciousness down the river. It was that's where my head went to.
I'm kicking myself. I haven't read that Conrad novel. Man, I got it. I don't.
It's worth the read. I mean,
yeah.
I was forced to read it in high school, but I'd read it again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, because he wrote in I think he wrote in English, but he knew Polish, French and English. I think Conrad.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure. I it's been a long time since I studied.
Because I just clearly I know the wrong things about him. I know his biography a little bit, but I haven't read Art of Darkness.
Have you seen Apocalypse Now, though?
It has been a very long time. I'm very rusty.
Okay. Then you got it. You got the main plot.
Okay. Cool.
Well, should we move to the second one?
Yeah. You want to do Reverse Rain?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. Reverse Rain. I watch the rain fall and think of my small failures. As each drop heads for a moment to pool, to stream, I am unsure which way time moves. Maybe today water suddenly opts to arc back into sky and storms fold under. A mist greyhound and I aren't left in the lurch of a St. Louis station where I hope to not doze off, not miss another. This city carries a weight too much like ours, does it not? Like you and I might also reunite. It makes no difference to the rain.
All I'm hearing is Blade Runner.
Oh yeah. The speech at the end where he's like tears in rain.
Tears in the rain.
Tears in the rain. Yeah. That's all. That's what I got there.
Gosh, I hope I didn't accidentally steal that.
No, I don't think so. I think this
is one where this is one of those ones where I'm like almost wanting to go playfully language poet with it, where I was so tempted to say it makes no difference to the metaphor, but I'm like, no, we can't do that. It's a little too rarefied. Let's keep it on the nose. But yeah, this was one I wrote when I was in my early 20s. I did a lot of bicycle trips. That's a little but in 2014 I bicycled from Atlantic City to Pittsburgh on a poverty housing fundraiser for the Fuller Center, which is like a non-denominational Christian version of Habitat for Humanity. It was founded by the same guy, Millard Fuller. But yeah, they have these yearly ones, and I did a lot of weeks of those for a couple of years. But I wrote this in a St. Louis bus station, and then I think I was also. Oh yeah, I was also working at a Greyhound in Tulsa, so that kind of that I was very Greyhound mindset. I think Yellow probably alludes to that too, but yeah. I worked at a Greyhound for 5 years. It wasn't very good money. But
That's fascinating because had you not pointed that out, I mean, the Greyhound reference in the missed bus or the hoping not to miss the bus, I think it would have been lost in the water.
Yeah. I had somebody point that out, and then I might have needed to write a companion piece to it. But sometimes you got to strip away some of the falderall, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I think it's it's an interesting kind of. This is one of those poems that I reworked, and I decided to open it with my collection because sort of like Trion Feeney, this new book of just poems, it kind of moves from that lovelorny stuff
Sure.
I'm reworking to more poignant time cognizant themes, like I working in healthcare during a pandemic, seeing all this malarkey happen in this country. That's kind of striking me a little bit, but it's got a similar flow to Trion Feeney, but it's just poems. So
yeah. So the missed bus. I'm trying to follow this through line here.
Yeah,
and so there's this kind of, again, maybe that forlorn longing, that hope of reuniting.
Yeah,
and you're seeing the missed bus as a missed opportunity, and yet there's hope that if the rain sometimes rejoins the other waters.
Well, yeah, it's like a reverse time conceit. Like I used to have this thing when I was, maybe I need to rework this some more, but I used to have this thing when I was a kid where if I looked at the rain for too long, I would think time was moving the opposite direction or something, or I don't know.
Okay.
I was obsessed with time travel when I was really young, which that's I guess everybody's got their own little quirks, but mine was time travel as a sci-fi type thing.
Mine was the Loch Ness Monster. So
okay. But so that's. I can see this needing a reworking, actually. Thank you for that. But I had this thing when I was young about wanting to move backwards in time, and then I'm just projecting my boyhood into more of my 20s, issues. And so in this context, I'm missing a Greyhound, and time moving backwards implies that the missed opportunities can be reset maybe or something.
Yeah, like how the water arcs back into the sky. To rain again. Yeah.
I like that. I like that as a concept of not missing another, but it's the same because time is
linear
rotating back. So it's the same bus but a different ride. I kind of like that as a concept. That's cool.
I think I might have been vaguely influenced by this is really weird. It's I think it's called Time's Arrow. But I haven't read the book. Why am I influenced by the book? But no, it's supposed to be a book about a this is a little gnarly, but Holocaust Nazi executioner. But the book goes in reverse time. So everything is morally backwards in this context. So I think I might have been riffing on that a little bit, but that's a little gritty for my taste. So I don't know.
Understandable.
Yeah.
That sounds fascinating though.
Yeah. I think it talked the book. I read a synopsis of it. I need to read that book. But...
So a novel by Martin Amis?
I think so. Yeah. Gosh. Amos, he passed recently, didn't he? Yeah. Was it called Time's Arrow?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it might have. Fiction. Yeah, I think I was in that. I think I heard of that through a song on some 2000s album by a Canadian band, but it's also called Time's Arrow, which had a similar conceit, where the character just perceives time in the wrong direction, and his future is his childhood or something. But yeah, I think that might have been kind of all that might have been in the backwater when I was drafting this. But,
going down this rabbit hole. BoJack Horseman did an episode called Time's Arrow, which it goes backwards through fuzzy memories.
Cool.
Oh.
Yeah. Huh.
I haven't seen BoJack Horseman in so long.
Right?
That was a great show.
Yeah, I liked it. It was
screaming into the void a lot, but I mean, it was.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah. Wow. Okay. So we got Blade Runner, we got Time's Arrow, we got.
I need to watch some more movies. Oh my gosh.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
You can watch the movie, or you can, for Blade Runner, you can do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can read
Philip
Philip K. Dick instead.
I have dabbled in what to call it, paranoid prose. I've dabbled in that. Some of my strongest prose is that. It's not in this book, but yeah, I mean, this is something I wrote when I was very young. So
Yeah.
you know, writers change. I haven't been writing as much prose as I used to, but yeah.
Huh. You have capitalized words in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was trying to see if there was an acrostic going on with the I.
Oh no, this one has very little. This collection has very few of them, and I try not to point them out because some of that almost seems like socially faux pas. I need to really reassess that, but I like writing, meter and rhyme quite a bit. It's just kind of like when I'm in the mood for it. I don't really know how to put it any other way. Just sometimes it feels like it fits, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But like that. Well, I get that one in Trio Fini, that acrostic. Gosh, I mean, I must have spent hours and hours on that tiny little poem.
Acrostic for my first writer's workshop.
Yeah. That's a diameter or tetrasyllabic terzerima acrostic. But
my gosh.
Yeah, but yeah, I have a similar one in my next collection that's not in here, but it's an older draft, and I've massaged it a little more so it has a better narrative flow. But yeah, I used to. This is another weird quirk. I used to make crosswords before I ever wrote my first poem, so that you could probably see a lot of that in that.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you mentioned the acrostic, and I have to bring this up because I kind of chuckled when I noticed this. You have acrostic on my first writer's workshop for V.
Yeah.
And you have V there as like almost like a placeholder for anonymous and then you follow the acrostic down and you get the entire name.
Okay, so I think that might be a little too like, what do you call that? Like idiosyncratic, because I on a genealogy.com or something, my grandma was telling me I was kin to this one poet, and she did all these acrostics for her lovers and wrote them the same way, where she would like write the acrostic but then do that name like that.
Oh, funny.
Just the first letter. So that, I mean, that's not really necessary context, but that could explain might explain why I did something so, kind of maybe like slapdash, I guess. But yeah,
it didn't feel slap. It just was like, well, if Victoria wanted to remain anonymous, she isn't.
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good.
That's good.
We're good.
Yeah. Let's see how much. Well, do you want to chat a bit more about Trio Fini or either of these two that you have brought us today?
I guess we could talk about Trio Fini a bit.
Yeah. So this is your first work, and it does have that autobiographical feel. And it works through kind of these lengthy travel. Not lengthy; they're short prose, but these travel narratives. And
the travels were long.
My question is so. This first one that you kind of chronicle sounds more like this. It sounds more like a road trip that was maybe unplanned, kind of.
The main suite, like the Toronto thing. Bahar's a ferry. That's Turkish for spring triumphs or spring marches. But yeah,
okay.
That was very extemporaneous. I was 21. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a car. I didn't have money for a bus ticket. I was just missing this girl and being silly. But yeah. I mean, it's very much autobiographical. I don't think there's. I mean, I left out a few parts just for the sake of like narrative cohesion, but there is a lot of creative nonfiction in that. Yeah,
it reminded me. It reminded me a lot of like the beatnik genre.
Yeah. A lot of people told me about it, especially about like that part where I'm just like doing that weird comparison between like a ramble sentence and like really short staccato sentences. That ramble sentence is very Kerouacian, I've been told. But yeah.
Fun.
Nice.
Well, I liked the book. It was a good read.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a page turner. So
Okay.
yeah. Well, Laurence, the three of us have reached the end, but before we call it a trio fine.
I get that now. I finally get that. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what is that about? I don't even. Okay,
Aaron,
okay.
I hate you. I hate you, Aaron.
I gotta work them in somehow, Dave.
Okay. I was wondering what you meant by that. I was like, what?
I always wonder what he means by everything he says.
It's my lame attempts at play on words every time. And I love it. Okay, we here at My Bad Poetry, we end each week with the words of a true poet. So before you go, would you be willing to read for us another one of your poems today?
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah.
This is No Second Term. It is a riff on William Butler Yeats's No Second Troy. You can probably guess what I'm talking about, but I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Why should I blame him that he filled our feeds with enmity, and that he had of late coddled wrong-headed men to treasonous deeds, to march through old halls and stars and bars hate, to nurse no deaths but the throes of empire? What could have made his logorrhea of mind fester with a self-pity of sparked wildfire, like work ethic of deadbeat dads, a kind not sensible through ailments such as ours, of hearts doffed to dawn, a madness worn thin? Why? What more would he have done, being what he was? Was there some other ship of state to burn? That's No Second Troy, but like with a different conceit. But yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I tried to pick something rhymey. I was trying.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
It reads so much like, I mean, it felt like a classic. Like just
thank you so much. I don't deserve that. I don't feel like I deserve that. God.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
No, I love it. I think you address the terror of our time in a very in a very poetic way.
Thank you.
Lovely. Well, Laurence, this has been a joy, and this has been My Bad Poetry.
Now go write some of your own bad poetry.
Yes.
Perfect.
That's awesome. Well, this has been really fun.
Yeah, this was great. Yeah.
I'm glad we got this to work out because, like, you rhyme free doesn't matter.